Welcome to episode 393. Today I'm looking at whether or not the Miami Dolphins should pursue trading for Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. But before getting to that topic, question for the video: who is the all-time leading passer in yards in Seattle Seahawks franchise history? If you know the answer, comment it below. If you do not, I will reveal the answer at the end. But Russell Wilson's squad, his agents, his training camp, his guys, his team, as not the Seattle Seahawks, but his group of guys that help him train in the offseason, his agent, so on and so forth, have announced Russell Wilson's happy trade destinations, teams he'd be okay with, would be the Miami Dolphins, New York Jets, New Orleans Saints, and Las Vegas Raiders. However, today I'm focusing on just the Miami Dolphins because I think they have the most to offer at the current point in time. Of course, the Jets have some offerings as well, but I don't want to talk about the Dolphins. Dolphins, of course, can offer Tua Tagovailoa. They can offer their number 3 overall pick. They can offer their number 18th overall pick and a future first rounder as well. We know Russell Wilson's not going to be cheap. He's arguably a top 5 quarterback. He's still got a lot of youth left. He is 32, 33, but Russell Wilson is one of those guys like Tom Brady that spends 7 figures a year on his body. I think he will play till 40. So Dolphins are getting close to another decade out of him if they trade for him, and I think it'll pay off. So really, what you're giving up is, of course, your future. The Miami Dolphins, however, finished 10-6 with this current roster, having a top 5 defense in the league. It's something Russell Wilson does not have. Yes, the Seattle Seahawks defense is pretty solid with Jamal Adams, and they got other guys, Bobby Wagner as well. But they're not really, clicking together to be a total top unit of a defense. They just got some guys spattered around that have talent. They're not coming together as one to be a great defense. Offensive line in Miami is not the best, but I do think any offensive line is pretty much an upgrade over what Russell has in Seattle. Receiving core, he would miss out on DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and Luke Wilson or Greg Olsen, even though he's been hurt. But he would still have some talent to throw to, such as Devontae Parker and Mike Gesicki. Backfield definitely wouldn't have Chris Carson or Carlos Hyde. But the Miami Dolphins do have cap space. They have Myles Gaskins, but they've already been talking about signing Aaron Jones. So Russell Wilson, if you went to Miami, I do think this team, like I said, was already 10-6 with the top 5 defense, can become a playoff team when you go from, I'm not going to say Tua sucks, but at his current pace and him currently is a bottom half of the league quarterback. I don't think he's in the top 16 in my opinion right now. It's just a little young and a little new. I think next year you can maybe make that jump, but right now I think he's a bottom 16 quarterback. Russell Wilson, like I said, is a top 5. This team will definitely be a playoff team when you make that big of a change at your most important position in football. So I think Dolphins should definitely pursue it, but there's a certain price. You can't give up everything. To me, you give up Tua Tagovailoa, therefore the Seahawks have a quarterback to work with. They're not worrying about they're not going to be working with some bum backup. They will have a starting guy and Tua that has a lot of potential and will be a lot cheaper than Russell Wilson. They'll have a number 3 overall pick, which can address their offensive line situation or draft a defensive guy, whatever they want. Will probably be an offensive lineman at number 3 overall. They could get Tua and Penei Sewell to protect him, and at number 18 overall, they could get another first-round pick, whatever they want to address. If they let go of Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde, maybe look at a replacement at running back. A lot of options. Of course, the Seattle Seahawks do not have a first-round pick this year or next year because of the Jamal Adams trade that they made with the New York Jets. So that is a big factor in why the Seahawks might be willing to do this, because they're looking at their current situation. They don't have a great team outside of Russell. Yes, there's talent, like I said, but it's just kind of spattered around, and they're not a solid team altogether. And they have a lot of holes with not a lot of draft capital and not a lot of free cap space. So therefore, this trade is very opening for the Seahawks because they'd have a quarterback replacement, leading to less money being paid to the quarterback. They'd have a lot more draft capital, and it would just be able to rebuild a team right now because they are not in a win-now situation, even with Russell Wilson. He's kind of just keeping them afloat, but he can't do absolutely everything. So I think the Seahawks should definitely pursue this, but I don't think the Dolphins will get away with just 2 firsts. And Tua Tagovailoa, I think we'll have to throw in a first next year. Therefore, 3 firsts, Tua Tagovailoa, and maybe an extra second or third rounder. I think if you give him a quarterback and 4 firsts overall, that's a little much, especially with one of those first rounders being number 3 overall. That's very high in the draft. They're not giving them, 29th pick in the draft. They're giving them number 3 overall. That is much highly valued than a late first round pick. So I do think they could get away with Tua Tagovailoa 3 firsts and another late round pick, such as maybe 3rd or 4th round. That would be a fair trade to me on both sides. However, even if Russell Wilson does go there, I don't know if they're a Super Bowl team, because you still have Josh Allen in the AFC East. You still have Patrick Mahomes. You still have Justin Herbert and the Chargers are emerging. You still have Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, Baker Mayfield and the Browns. You still got Big Ben and the Steelers. You still got the Raiders. There's a lot of teams in the AFC that are going to be tough to compete with. But I do think you'd get an easier break with the Miami Dolphins than in Seattle, because that division he's in with Seattle with the Niners, Cardinals, and Rams is not going to be fun to deal with, especially with the team around Russell Wilson. Team as in more specifically the offensive line to protect them. If you don't have time in the pocket in the NFL, you don't really have time to win a football game. Therefore, I think he should definitely be considering this target of the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins should be considering it as well. I understand Tua has potential and he could have a great future for the Miami Dolphins, but if you're given the opportunity to get a top 5 player in the league, I don't care what you really have. If you can make it happen, go for it. It'll change your team forever for the better of good. I think they should definitely pursue it. However, like I said, I don't think Tua Tagovailoa, 4 first-round picks, is worth it for Russell Wilson. They're sacrificing a lot right there because their team is not perfect, has talent, but there still are some holes. So you still want to have some draft capital to build this team around, fill in the little gaps it does have. I'd love to see him pick up an offensive line and an extra receiver, an extra running back for this Miami Dolphins team. Like I said, they might be signing Aaron Jones. They might be looking at Allen Robinson. 2 guys Russell Wilson would love, but I'm not sure they can afford all 3. However, if there is, of course, the NFL draft to pick up another receiver or running back instead. However, from both sides and from Russell Wilson's perspective, Russell Wilson, I think, should definitely be intrigued. Dolphins, I think he could go there and be a serious competitor, especially if they draft well and do well in free agency. Miami Dolphins should definitely pursue it. Not sold on Tua Tagovailoa completely. I think he has potential, but if you could get Russell Wilson instead of Tua, go for it. If you're the Seahawks, pretty much start over, rebuild, work with Tua, take the draft capital, and I say go for it as well. I think all 3 sides pretty much, I don't want to say it's a complete win because someone's going to probably lose this trade in the end, but I think from the current perspective, all 3 sides have an advantage point in our winning from this trade currently on paper right now. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Should the Miami Dolphins do it? Should the Seattle Seahawks do it? Or will Russell just stay in Seattle and nothing else happens? It's just a lot of speculation. Like I said, let me know what you guys think in the comments. But that is it for the video. For the question of the video, the all-time passing leader in yards for the Seattle Seahawks is, of course, Russell Wilson. It used to be Matt Hasselbeck, but Russell Wilson is now 4,000 more yards than him. I believe he passed him just this year. Congrats to Russell Wilson, and I honestly hope he gets traded because this quarterback carousel of a season is one of the craziest we've seen between possibly Wilson, possibly Rodgers, I doubt it, but Wilson, maybe Garoppolo, maybe Cousins, Deshaun Watson, Matt Stafford, Jared Goff, maybe Tua. A lot of quarterbacks going around. It's going to be awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. 2 minute warning.